Thomas Rhett. It doesn't even sound like country music.
You have the best music on this show.
Thank you very
it's like pumping me up this morning. It feels good.
Look who's here. Sandra's in today for Ainsley, who has got an exclusive interview with the President of the United States.
Yay! Well, we missed Ainsley, but thank you for having me here this morning. Good to be here.
Great to have you. I know you're getting set for Outnumbered starting at noon.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Always
you know
good.
What? Right now.
Yeah.
You're outnumbered.
I know. Did you notice that?
Right.
It's like flipped.
I'm not sure if you're going to be talking about what happened late last night around 9 o'clock Eastern time. That's when the president went to Iowa to give which seems to me to be back to campaign mode, to explain what he's doing, what these special elections have meant, and what he plans on doing. He even made some news last night.
He did.
There was a lot of talk about winning, that's for sure.
So really, it was kind of a victory lap, and we're going to talk a little bit about those young women behind him taking selfies and chewing gum. It was his 5th rally in 5 months. Do you think it's a good idea? You do, and we're going to share some of your comments in a moment. But first, let's play. Here's the president talking a little bit about what he's got next on the agenda.
I think healthcare is going to happen and infrastructure is going to happen. You're going to have a lot of exciting things over the next few months, and I look forward to being able to produce it. Let's see what happens. If we had even a little Democrat support, just a little, like a couple of votes, you'd have everything. But again, they just want to stop. They just want to obstruct. And their plan isn't working because they thought they were going to win last night in Atlanta. And they've been unbelievably nasty, really nasty. And they thought they spent close to $30 million on this kid who forgot to live in the community that he was in. I mean, you know. I am making it a little bit hard to get their support, but who cares? And if Karen Handel had lost, they would have blamed it on me, which is fine. But if she had lost, they would have been there for weeks talking about this. This would have been the greatest defeat in the history of American politics. When she won, when they said, projected winner is Karen Handel, then they said, we switch to another program, right? So it was so short. They couldn't get out of there fast enough. This happened in Montana, right? In Kansas. Last night, South Carolina, with Ralph, who was expected to win and he won. California. So, but it's been incredible. So we're 5-0. We're 5-0,
And it means a lot. It meant a lot to those people. It also means a lot to Republicans who thought to themselves, I have to stay away from the president. You know, he has all these problems with these Democrats. We could lose the House if we do. We have to run from health care. It's too controversial. Instead, you have win, win, win. And the margins were not as big as in the past, but they're all victories. So they could say, hey, I could go follow this president and not have political suicide. I can get aboard tax reform, infrastructure, as well as health care.
It reminds you why the president tweets and why he holds rallies like this, even as president, because he feels he doesn't get his message out. The media doesn't get his message out. He goes and takes it straight to the people. He also took his message last night straight to the people on immigration and talking about the wall and making a little news. Listen.
I believe the time has come for new immigration rules which say that those seeking admission into our country must be able to support themselves financially and should not use welfare for a period of at least 5 years. And yes, we will build the wall. We've already started planning. It will be built. I'm a builder. That's what I love to do. That's probably what I do best. I'm a builder.
Actually had a guy on about 2 weeks ago who was talking about the solar wall and how it's a private industry public facility that they're talking about. And so there is on the books this blueprint for it. Are they going to go that way? It would be really cool.
It would cut down on Mexico's cost to build that wall, as you heard the president point out.
Meanwhile, if you were watching the president, you know what? If you were driving in your car and you were listening on the radio to the president, you missed quite a show behind him because there were 3 young Trump supporters. Screen left, there's a young woman who, on National Selfie Day, took a number of selfies of herself. There's a woman behind the president wearing a Hawkeyes cap right there. And then there's the girl in the Make America Great red cap who chewed gum during much of his
The whole
performance.
time. The whole time. So if you were watching, it was probably a little distracting. I don't know. Maybe not, Brian Kilmeade.
Yeah, Jonathan writes us and says the Trump girls chew gum instead of rioting and vandalizing. That is the difference. Greg says...
Female Trump supporter in red hat at Iowa rally. Breaking news, caught chewing gum on camera. MSM wants to investigate for Russian collusion.
And Stephen tweeted, she is supporting our president and is young. I'm with her.
Meanwhile, yesterday there was something going on in Capitol Hill earlier in the day, and that was a call up from the former Homeland Security Secretary, Jay Johnson, to come explain when he knew about the alleged Russian hacking into our elections and why wasn't more done about it. And a lot of this was Jay Johnson never looked composed or more arrested, by the way. It goes to show you what Homeland does in terms of wearing on you. But when he was asked a few times, you knew about this in the summer, when you went up in July to the DNC and said your software's been hacked, they would not turn over the server to him, which he said he still doesn't understand why they wouldn't. Debbie Wasserman Schultz denied that was even requested, but Trey Gowdy speculated could there have been something else on that server Homeland Security Homeland Security wasn't allowed to see? Possibly. When Jay Johnson was asked, though, about Russian affecting the election, here was his answer.
Is that still your opinion that with respect to the 2016 election, that the intrusions or attempted, whatever it is, Russians or others did not affect the actual voting itself?
Based on everything I know, that is correct. I know of no evidence that through cyber intrusions, votes were altered or suppressed in some way.
See, and that's really critical. Not a single vote was changed. He did say that when he was the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, the administration was reluctant to tell the country about what had happened, but they did, in fact, talk about it. And they made a press availability, and they talked about it, but it didn't get much attention because it was on the same day the Access Hollywood video came out. And so everybody was talking about that, not talking about this.
Go ahead.
I just don't understand why they didn't bring it out over the summer. Why did they even wait until October? They brought up and they said, well, we didn't want to put our foot on the scale because one of the candidates talked about this whole thing being rigged and fixed, and we thought if we came out and said there's already been some problems, it would have played into that. So we kept our mouth shut. But it doesn't talk about why you didn't come out over the summer and just tell everybody.
Well, because then people would go, well, you're running the government. Why aren't you stopping it?
Yeah.
There's got to be a way for the Department of Homeland Security to stop this kind of thing. If you know that it's going on, why don't you turn it off?
So last night on Hannity, Kellyanne Conway said something about the media and Democrats. I wonder if this one will stick. The Russian concussion.
Ouch.
During the campaign, I used to say that there's this total disconnect between what Americans are telling us is important to them and what they're being told is important to them. And I see it again now that he's president. The media and the Democrats have this Russian concussion, and they've lost like muscle memory to be able to function in any other way to talk about anything he's doing. But that doesn't mean the people don't see it.
The Russian concussion.
I got a chuckle out of that.
I really think we've turned the page. When you have these other Democrats and anti-Trumpers saying, well, we all know there's no collusion, nothing's been found, it's been a 7-month investigation, you cannot lead a show with collusion because you just have nothing to go with. It's not the Sci-Fi Channel. It's going to pressure people to actually do real shows.
You know what? You may be right. You may be wrong, though, because last night when we were actually carrying the president live during the Make America Great Again rally, we carried it. Fox Business carried it. The other channels carried other stuff and talked a lot about Russian collusion.
All right.